Welcome to the Solidworks tutorial number 4. This one is on creating a drawing or a blueprint once you've already made either a part or an assembly. So first of all, we're going to go to the Home button and create a new document. And we've created parts before in the earlier tutorials and assembly. This time we're creating a drawing. So select OK. The first thing it's going to pop up is going to ask us for a sheet format. And there's a bunch of different industry standard formats that can be used. I have one that I've created specifically for our class that I'd like you to use. So we're going to go down to the Windows Explorer tab on the bottom and open up a new window. This is where you can get to your W drive and other things like that. And we're going to go to the Building Shares, which is also called the V drive. And what you're going to do is browse through here, find a specific document, and then transfer it to your student account, your W drive. So Building Shares, LHS for Lindbergh High School, Classes, Robotics, this current year, 2016-2017. And then you're going to copy and paste this and put it into your student account, your W drive. So I'm going to right-click and copy, and then go into my W drive for this current year, and I'm going to paste it here. You'll see I've actually already pasted it once, so it's going to ask me, and I'm going to say no. But I'd like you to make sure you put it in your W drive. Hey, once you do that, you can go back into SolidWorks and you're going to browse for that specific file. So into your specific student folder, wherever you placed it, select it, and then click OK. And here's what that sheet format looks like. You can zoom out to see the whole thing. It's got a title that says Lindbergh High School Robotics on the bottom. You would write a title or the name of the part, the number that you're going to make, the material that's going to be made out of, drawn by, date, and then there's room for you to put the blueprint itself up there. And your goal with a part file like this is to put all the important information that someone would need to know in order to be able to make whatever it is that you designed in the shop. And in some cases that might be you, in some cases that might be another person. Okay, so the next step, we're going to click Browse on the left-hand side, and we're going to find the part. Actually, before I show you that, we're under Model View. That was kind of the automatic default setting. So Model View, click Browse, and here is the part, the block from the second tutorial. Click Open, and once you've done that, you'll see, in this case, since it's actually placing the side view of the block, you can decide where to put it on the screen. Go ahead and put that on the bottom left. If you click and drag up, or if you drag up, don't click, sorry, just move your mouse up, you'll see that it asks you to place the top view there. So you can click once. If I move over to the right, I can place the side view, and if we move up at an angle, it can select a perspective view and place it there. Once I place those 4 views, I'm going to right-click and click Done. I could have also clicked the check mark on the left-hand side. Okay, and actually, if I take a look at these, I can move them around. If you hover over, you can select the dashed or dotted lines around them, and you can move them. These are a little too small. I'd like to make these images big enough that I can easily put lots of dimensions on them, but small enough that they don't take up the whole page. So right now, if I click on just one of them, you'll see that the scale that's being used is a 1:4 scale. And so we're going to change the scale to try to make those things a little bigger, but not too big. Since I want to change all of them, I'm holding them down the Control tab, and I'm going to click on the outlines for all of the 4 images. And then over here where it says Scale, I'm going to select Use Custom Scale. And you can select different scales. I've already tried some of these. If you go 1 to 8, it gets even smaller. 1 to 2 gets bigger, but it's actually too big to fit on the page for this. So I'm going to go into User Defined, and I'm going to type in 1 to 3. Click check mark. And there you go. You can see they just got a little bit bigger, but they still fit well on the page. And I'm going to just do a little bit of moving around of the individual pieces. Make myself some room here. See, it looks like I have to click on the bottom left one. Really does a lot of the motion. Okay, great. So I've resized those. The next thing to do is to start thinking about which dimensions would I need to label on this document for someone to actually make this part. And you don't have to label these dimensions on every single of the views, the top, side, front, and perspective views. But think about which dimensions make sense for you to label so someone would know how to make it. So to do that, we're going to go to the Annotation tab on the top left, and we're going to use the Smart Dimension tool. And I'm going to start with the perspective view, and I'm just going to give the length and width and height of this for someone who might make it. So here's the width. Here is the length. And this is roughly the height, but not quite because of that fillet. So I'm going to leave that off for right now. I can do that same thing on these views. So I'm really selecting the edge. Now to get the height, I'm actually going to do something where I click the top and the bottom line. Let's see if I can zoom in there and do that. And then when I do that, it tells me the actual height of the whole thing. Okay, I'm not sure how that 0, 0 got in there, so I'm just going to click on it, delete it, get rid of it. And the 1.25, the height of that line that I put in there, actually don't want that one either. So I'm going to click on it and delete it. So we have the 6 inches in that direction and 1.5 inches, which is the height. I'm actually not sure right now why this is saying 4.9 and 9.8 on the perspective view. So I'm going to delete those. I'd like to learn more about that later. Okay, so 6 inches, 1.5 inches. I'm going to place those same dimensions on this view on the bottom left corner. So I'm going to select Smart Dimension, clicking on the edge, moving the mouse down, and then placing that right there. And then the height is already listed there, so I'm not going to list it again. That should be enough information for someone to make the overall outline of the part. Okay. The next part that I'd like to show you is how to place dimensions for someone to know how to make all of these holes. So I'm going to zoom in with my mouse right now. On just one of these holes, I'm going to click on the outside diameter. And then this symbol that's being shown is the symbol for the diameter of a circle. So it's saying the diameter is 0.5 inches. And I'm going to place it there. Now, because all of those things have the same diameter, instead of placing each dimension next to it, I'm just going to make a note. So I clicked on the Note button on the top next to it, and I'm going to write all holes have same diameter. Zooming out. Okay, fits very well there. Check mark. Okay, so that's telling the diameter. The other thing that someone would need to know if they're building this is the location of the center of all of those holes. So here's how you do that. Smart Dimension tool again. I'm going to select, I'm going to think about this as an XY grid or XY coordinate system. So this first hole, I remember I placed it 2 inches over in the X direction and 2 inches up in the Y direction. So I have to basically communicate that information. Same thing for the next hole, it's 4 inches over in the X direction and 2 inches up in the Y direction. So here's how you communicate that in SolidWorks. I'm going to do this first for the Y direction. I'm going to click on the outside of the circle and then move the mouse. I'm going to click on the bottom of the part. And when I do that, you'll see that it automatically changes to a dimension where it's actually measuring from the middle of the circle to the bottom of the part. And it's saying that's 2 inches. I'm going to place it right there. For the circles up above, I'm going to do the same thing. Click on the outside of the circle. Move my mouse down. I'm not dragging at all. Click on the bottom of the part. And then place it again. There you go. And then I'm going to keep doing the same thing for the X coordinates. So by clicking on the outside of the circle, placing on the left-hand side of the block, and show that that's 2 inches over. That's 4 inches over. 6 inches over. And you can see that I'm organizing this in a way that it should be pretty easy for someone to look at these and see which one goes with which hole. Okay, and we're done. Check mark. Now there are also ways of labeling how large the radius of the fillet is. In this case, let's just say that the goal of the fillet was just to make the edge sharp. You could even make a note of that. You could say make fillet on top edges so that part is not sharp. If I can scroll out and move this around like that. So you're making a note. Oh, sorry about that. Making a note for the person that's making this. Okay, last things. We're going to put a title for this. This we had called the block. Let's make that a little bit bigger. The quantity that we're going to make. Let's click note. Select there. Let's just say that there's one being made of this thing. I'm doing Control All and then making the font a little bit bigger. Material. Let's say this is out of plastic. That's kind of what it looked like in my drawing. Control A to select all of the font. And I'm going to move this check mark. I'm going to move that around a little bit. Drawn by. Use my last name, Randall. You would put your name here. And then today's date, 9/8/16. Okay. So we didn't save along the way. We probably should have. Let's click Save. And it's going to ask us what to call it. I'm calling this the same thing as the original part file, which might be confusing, but this is going to be a DRW file, which stands for drawing or drawing file, or an SLD DRW file, a Solidworks drawing file. So it can have the same name as your part file. It's a different file type. Okay, click Save, and that